Hey everybody, it's Dale with the Greater Houston German Shepherd Dog Rescue. Today we're going to talk about one of the most common problems that rescues face across the nation. It's also one of the most preventable problems that we face. The problem is the return of dogs that were adopted by the best of intentions, by good families, good-hearted people who truly came to the table believing that they were going to save a German Shepherd dog and that they had what it took and they were going to be successful and just make a difference in their community. The reality is you need to give some serious considerations to what you're doing and what dog you're choosing. Anytime you're looking to rescue a dog or adopt a dog or even buy a dog, before you make that choice, and this is the most important step that most people really don't do. You really need to sit down and say what breed is best for me and why, and my family as a whole. You're bringing the dog into your home. The dog has to match your family's needs, not just your needs. And your home and your family really need to be consistent with what the breed traits are for that particular breed. In this case, we're talking about the German Shepherd dog. I myself have seen firsthand and been guilty of doing this. When I was a young kid, walking to school every morning, one of my neighbors had a Labrador Retriever chained up in their backyard. Great, full of energy, run back and forth up and down the fence line, all the way as I passed its house. It always seemed like it wanted to play with me, always seemed like it wanted to have fun. So I went home and told my parents I wanted a Labrador Retriever. That's what it was. So my parents, wanting to get their child a dog and the dog that he wanted, we went out and we got a Labrador Retriever puppy. And that puppy lasted about 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 6, in our home. And my parents made the executive decision that the dog was not suited to live in the house due to its size and its rambunctious personality and its mere strength to knock things over and break things. So Poco was its name. Poco spent the remainder of its life in our backyard on a chain. And looking back on that, could we have trained Poco or had Poco trained? We sure could have. Did we think about it? No. Would Poco have been happier had I just passed and taken a dog more suitable for my family and what my parents were willing to tolerate in our home? Yeah, Poco would have been a whole lot happier if he'd been adopted by a family that was willing to think it through before they got him and be willing to train him or just spend the time understanding what they were getting into before they did it. But my family didn't. And was anybody in my family mean or had bad intentions? No. We just didn't think something through. It was the dog's life, not ours, and we just never gave it the thought we should have given it. So that's my story. And we're going to go on to talk about the German Shepherd breed. You're obviously looking at German Shepherds. And when you look at German Shepherds, you need to look at the size of the dog. I'd say 60 to 80 pounds is probably your average German Shepherd. It's not unheard of to have a 100-pound, a little bit over 100-pound German Shepherd. We do occasionally get those in the rescue. When you look at that, you also need to look at the personality of the dog, the breed traits of that dog. German Shepherds were bred to be working line dogs. They kind of need a job. They kind of want to do something. They're not, their breed is not consistent with laying on the couch all day waiting for you to come home from work. They want a need, exercise, attention. They're going to want to play. They're going to want to do things. You're going to have a yard suitable for the dog. You're going to have the time. You're going to have to be willing to take the dog on walks, spend some quality time with the dog, because it's not the type of dog that's going to be comfortable in your home, make you happy or it happy, if it has to find things to occupy its time and its boredom. It's not going to end well for you or the dog in most cases. The other thing you need to consider is the cost of food and medication. A German Shepherd dog is going to consume a sizable amount of food. If you buy any kind of quality food, the cost can add up. You're also looking at heartworm and flea medications, which are typically based on the weight of the dog. So the larger the dog, the more expensive those monthly costs are. The other thing you need to do is if you have small children in the home, you may really want a German Shepherd dog, and you may be the husband or the wife, the brother or the sister, the son or the daughter that's really pushing. You just want a German Shepherd dog, and typically it's one person in the home that's a big advocate for, we need a German Shepherd. That's the dog we need to get. That's what I've always wanted. My parents had one. We had one as a kid. There's a million reasons why there's normally one person in the house that's really the driving force. And that's fine as long as that driving force is realistic. The expectations you have, you bringing this dog into your house. If you have young children, I say anything 6 and under, you really need to seriously consider, is this dog going to be alone with your child? German Shepherds are great family dogs, but they like to play. And if you have a young German Shepherd and a 2-year-old child unattended, the likelihood that that child's going to run up to the dog wanting to play, and that young puppy still learning maturity and good manners wanting to play back, the likelihood that that dog could scratch your child's face with its paw unintentionally is pretty good. So these are things you need to think about. If you have young children in the house, my suggestion to you would be not get any large breed dog until your child's a little older. If you're a unique situation and your house is such and your family is disciplined, and you just know for a fact that even with a young child, German Shepherd in your home is going to be manageable for you and your family, there's lots of families that that's the case, then my suggestion for you in that case would be, do not get a German Shepherd younger than 2 years old. And when you meet the German Shepherd, you should bring your 2-year-old with you and see the interaction. The other thing I would tell you is that when you bring a dog into your home from a rescue, a breeder, I don't care where you bring the dog from, the dog's not coming into your home knowing your expectations. It's not going to know the house rules. It's not going to know your expectations. In most cases, the dog's been living in a crate, whether it's at a pet store, a veterinarian clinic, or a shelter. In rescues, the dogs are typically acclimated into a foster home, so at least they've got a week or two, or maybe even a month or two, living with a foster family, learning some basic rules. But they're going to come into your house. You need to show them. They're not going to know what you expect and don't expect. When that dog comes into your home, you need to have the understanding to be patient and don't set the dog up for failure. If you leave the dog unattended and it eats a hole in your couch, it's a funny story for your neighbors to tell each other, but it's not good for you, and it's probably not going to end well for the dog. But whose fault is it really? You wouldn't leave your 4-month-old baby or your 6-month-old baby unattended. You shouldn't leave a new dog that you bring into your house unattended. So there's just some things to think about. Some of the things we see dogs come back to our rescue where people are returning the dogs, they're almost always little small things that could have been prevented. All it would have required was a little bit of thought up front and a small amount of time along the way, and the German Shepherd dog can be a fantastic addition to your family. No dog should be introduced to any family without the steps we just talked about here today first being considered and evaluated as a whole with your family, not just with one member. I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope that this video helps you get some ideas to think about and talk about with your family before you decide on any dog coming into your home. If you do decide to adopt a dog and you do decide that a German Shepherd dog is for you, I hope that you'll look at our organization, because we always have dogs that are desperately looking for their forever home. Thank you.